In this video, we are going to understand about the zeros of a polynomial. Now, in one of the previous videos, I've told you that a zero of a polynomial is defined as any real value of x for which the value of the polynomial becomes 0. So in other words, if px is equal to 2x minus 8, okay, say for example, the value of x for which px becomes 0 is known as the zero of a polynomial. Okay, and if you look at it geometrically, the number of zeros of a polynomial is equal to the number of time the graph intersects with the x-axis. So let's say, for example, we draw up a graph of anything. Okay, let's say we've drawn up this graph. I know in terms of being clarity, it's a little bit blurred, but let's say this is the x-axis, this is the y-axis, and this line basically represents the graph of a particular thing. So when I look at this graph, okay, which is being drawn, it intersects the x-axis at one point, okay, only one point, right? Therefore, what we can say is that the number of zeros in this particular graph, is going to be equal to 1. As against this, if you look at this second graph, here the graph which is going like this does not intersect the x-axis at all, right? So this could be something like, y is equal to 4. If you draw the graph of y is equal to 4, it is something like this, because here the value which y has throughout is equal to 4. This does not intersect x-axis, right? And what we say here is that the number of zeros in this particular equation is actually 0, because it is not intersecting the x-axis at any point in time. Now how about this? If you look at this particular graph, it is intersecting the x-axis here at only one point, right? So how many is the number of zeros in this case? 1. Let's look at something else. If here you notice it's intersecting the x-axis at one point, this is the second point, and if you just notice here, it slightly goes above 0 and again comes back to hit over here, right? So there are actually 3 points where this graph is intersecting the x-axis, and therefore the number of zeros that we have in this case, okay, is equal to 3. So that is the way you find out the number of zeros in case of a graph of a polynomial.